A decade ago, the fund received national attention and was audited. Since then, trustees from the Oklahoma City Community Foundation voted to move the money to a private trust, which doesn't have to reveal how much money is in the fund, who is getting it, or how much they are charging to manage it.
There's heavy damage downtown. The explosion went off around 9 a.m. Emergency crews are on the scene trying to block off some downtown streets. It's just totally devastating.
27 years ago, as these images flashed across television screens, hearts broke across the world and millions of dollars poured in.
When you donate trying to help someone, you assume that the money that you've given them is going towards their needs.
Yeah, he's such a tough guy, man.
Dolores Watson's grandson, PJ Allen, was the youngest survivor of the bombing.
You don't assume that they're going to have to fight, struggle.
But Watson says for all of PJ's life, it has been a struggle to access those funds donors sent in. All the victims we talked to say the Red Cross and Salvation Army provided invaluable help whenever they needed it. But they say they continue to have problems with money put into the Oklahoma City Disaster Relief Fund, originally managed by the Oklahoma City Community Foundation and now with the private investment firm Invest Trust. Invest Trust CEO says the company took over management of the money after the Disaster Relief Fund was dissolved in 2015. We tried to interview someone from OCCF about this decision, but instead they provided us with this document explaining in part the plan was designed to deal with the long-term needs in an efficient and effective way. According to OCCF, there are 5 individual special needs trusts for children who suffered long-term effects from the bombing. The rest of the money is in what is called a pot trust, where other bombing victims may be eligible for assistance. The Oklahoma City Community Foundation pays a full-time social worker. According to an OCCF spokesperson, once she sees a need, she then goes to Invest Trust, who manages the money. PJ received one of the individual trusts. Dolores says it was $600,000. Still, she says trying to get that money for medical expenses is exhausting and cumbersome.
When you talk to her, she's just a figure. You talk to her, you have to wait, and then she comes back and says no, and then you have to send this, and then she comes back and says no, and then they tell you, we just can't give you a check. We have to give it to, so even things that they pay for, I have to pay for it. I send the invoice off to them. The invoice goes to whoever I paid, and then I have to wait for that person to send a check back to me. They do everything they can to complicate.
It's 26 years, I understand that, but living it day to day is every day.
Felicia Joyner lost her ear and was badly injured in the bombing. Her mother, young niece, and nephew were all killed. When we spoke to her in 2012, she told us fund managers with OCCF refused her request for help.
She told me that the funds had been depleted. And see, that's something that hurt me, so it stuck with me.
Today, she says she's still struggling.
Bombing related, what does that mean? Because to me, bombing related means physical, mentally, emotionally, and financially. Well, that's everybody's life, whoever was affected.
Invest Trust says 60 people directly impacted by the bombing are benefiting from the trust. Felicia isn't one of them.
I don't get any help. I don't hear from them or anything.
It is problematic as a hypothetical. I mean, that victims still are waiting for millions of dollars.
Attorney Kenneth Feinberg says he doesn't know about the legality of the Oklahoma City Disaster Relief Fund specifically. He can only contrast it to the programs he's administered: the 9/11 Fund, the Boston Marathon bombings, and the shootings at Virginia Tech, the Aurora, Colorado movie theater, and Pulse nightclub.
In all of these programs, every one, money comes in, claims are processed, and money is distributed directly to the victims or their families within 60 to 90 days.
We should not be talking about some money 25 years later with the same overtone that we were talking about it in 1995.
Dolores, Felicia, and other victims we talked to off camera maintain that's what they want, to see money divided up and distributed for them to decide for themselves how to use it.
I just can't imagine that someone wrote a check and said, now, I want you to monitor this money very, very closely and make sure that these people don't get what they're asking for. I want you, I want you to put some restrictions on there.
When we asked the Oklahoma City Community Foundation for an interview, they referred us to Invest Trust. Invest Trust CEO provided us with written answers to our questions, but also wouldn't go on camera. We've put those answers and that OCCF document on our website. Dana Hurtnicki, Oklahoma's own News 9.